Happy WrestleMania Day, guys, and welcome back to WWE Network and Chill, where I, Graham G.S. and Matthews, break down all the original content you watch on the WWE Network and on Peacock. And today we're talking the April 10, 2021 edition of Talking Smack. You can still watch this before Night 2 tomorrow. I know they're cutting a little close here by putting it up the same day as Mania, myself included. But this has all to do with the triple threat match that we're going to be seeing on Night 2 between Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan, and Edge for the Universal Championship. This was a one-person show. I mean, technically a one-guest show, because Heyman was great, Edge was great, Kayla was fine as well. Usually they have a recurring, cycle of guests here on the show, at least 3 guests. That's usually the number they allow on. This episode, for the first time ever, they only had 1. And it was the same length of show that we usually get, 27 minutes. And granted, the first 10 minutes were Kayla and Heyman kind of bullshitting back and forth until they finally had Edge on. But it was only Edge. And I don't think we've ever seen Edge on Talking Smack before. He was definitely on Raw Talk at least once. But we don't see him do this do these type of shows ordinarily. So I thought that was really cool. But before they welcomed Edge on, Heyman was talking about how proud he was of Jey Uso for winning the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal on SmackDown. He tries to bring Edge out early, multiple times, but Kayla is determined to preview some of the SmackDown matches for Mania, including the Women's Tag Team title match and the 4-way number 1 contenders match, the Tag Team Turmoil match on Night 1. Heyman wanted nothing to do with it, and I don't blame him, because who could possibly care? They tried to preview Rollins versus Cesaro for Night 1. Again, Heyman wanted no part of it. He just wanted to bring out Edge. So they bring out Edge, and I can't even begin to do this thing justice in terms of everything they covered here on the episode. I mean, in terms of their back and forth, what Edge said, what Heyman said, because they were talking for legit 15 minutes straight. First Heyman, my phone just went off. First Heyman, then Edge, then back to Heyman. So it was back and forth with a lot of different things. But here is the Cliff Notes version, the Spark Notes version. So Heyman brought up how Roman Reigns actually was the one who eliminated Edge at the Royal Rumble last year, which he did. And they talked about the grand comeback and how great of a moment it was, how long he worked to get back to that moment. And then Roman Reigns was the one who destroyed his chances of main eventing WrestleMania last year because of what happened at the Royal Rumble in 2020. He offers his respect to Edge, he offers his admiration for Edge, and he just kind of plays him up. He kind of just, sucks up to him, blows smoke up his ass for 5 minutes. Edge, thankfully, is not an idiot, and is very intense here, a lot like he was on SmackDown, which was probably one of the greatest promos I've ever heard him cut, to be honest with you, at least since he's been back. And he's cut a lot of great promos. But Edge knows that Heyman's been talking a lot of crap about him on Talking Smack and elsewhere, and he's not having any of his shit. And he knows Roman Reigns pays his checks, he knows Heyman has kids, he's got to do what he's got to do in order to, make that money. And part of that money, I guess, and part of the job is making fun of Edge and criticizing him and whatever. But he should know of anyone. Paul Heyman should know what Edge is all about, what his character is in terms of what he is willing to do to make it in WWE. And that Heyman was actually in charge of SmackDown when Edge first started out. I mean, he started out in 98, 99 with Christian, but on his own, he really started out as a single star on SmackDown in 2002. And who was writing SmackDown at the time but Paul Heyman, in charge of the Blue Brand, and really right after the draft, and the SmackDown 6, which Edge brought up, and the matches he had with Rey Mysterio, specifically Eddie Guerrero, that helped put Edge on the map as a single star in WWE. And he fought with all of his soul to get back, and says that he and Heyman will never agree. But come WrestleMania, he's going to do what he has to do to take that championship. And I love that this is entirely about Edge and Roman, because I feel like a lot like with WrestleMania 30, 7 years ago when Bryan got added to the World Championship match, I mean, they were building up Bryan versus Orton and Batista, but it also could have been Triple H versus Orton and Batista, because Bryan had to earn the championship match by beating Triple H first on the show. But I felt like with that build, it was more so Orton and Batista, and really everyone against Bryan. And I felt like they were kind of going with that direction here too, and that's fine, but the thing is, at the end of the day, it's not a 2-on-1 handicap match, it's a triple threat match. It's every man for themselves. It's not heel and heel versus face. It's heel versus face. So I thought the promos on SmackDown this week were amazing in terms of all 3 guys staking their claim at the championship come Sunday. But again, it felt like it was Edge and Roman against Bryan. They kind of both talked about wanting to eliminate the threat of Bryan. But on this show, it was all about Edge and Roman. This is what we probably would have gotten had it been Roman and Edge one-on-one. And they kind of made that tease on SmackDown. Sonya had told Adam Pearce, well, I think the SmackDown Tag Team title match should have been a 2-on-2 match, blah, blah, blah. It should have been Roman and Edge one-on-one at WrestleMania instead of the triple threat. I'm not exactly sure why she would say that unless that was building to something. I don't know why you would make it from a triple threat to a singles. I have no idea. Hey, you know what? Maybe it's like a gauntlet triple threat where they do Edge and Roman and then Bryan gets added. I have no fucking clue, but just something to keep an eye out for. But I loved entirely how this episode was devoted to Edge and Roman just alone. And really, Daniel Bryan's name wasn't brought up at all. So after Edge does his little thing, Heyman gets back on the mic and calls Edge the perfect story. You know, coming back exactly 10 years to the day from the night he retired from wrestling, coming back to main event WrestleMania, and going for the top title in WWE. He says he recalls the text conversation that they had the night he retired 10 years ago. And whether this is legit or not, I have no idea. I would think that it's not, just because Heyman wasn't in WWE at that point, which doesn't really make that much of a difference, but just the way that it was worded and all this other shit, it makes it sound like it was fake. But if this actually happened, that's incredible. So Heyman had brought up that, you know, of course, all these hundreds, tens upon hundreds of people texting him, I'm sure, Edge that night, saying, oh, I'm so sorry about what happened. It sucks, like it shouldn't have happened to you, blah, blah, blah. Heyman was the only person, according to Heyman, to have texted Edge saying, this is the first step back to your comeback, or something along those lines. Get back to WrestleMania, to the main event of WrestleMania where you belong. And Edge texted him back 2 days later. Heyman thought he was pissed at him because he wasn't texting back immediately, but it took him 2 days for him to respond. And Edge said, my dream is to main event WrestleMania. Nothing will stop me from living out that dream. So I question it for all the other reasons that I mentioned and why he would remember it word for word, but also because he made it sound like that he's never main evented WrestleMania before. Heyman said that about Edge. Edge had main evented WrestleMania 24 with the fucking Undertaker, 13 years ago now? Which was also coincidentally in Florida, which is pretty cool. In Orlando, not Tampa, but that's why I think the whole thing is like weird, as to why would that be his dream to main event WrestleMania if he's already done it at least once. So that's one thing. But he says, yeah, main eventing WrestleMania would be a dream. Roman Reigns will be the reality that you wake up to when you lose tomorrow night in that Universal Championship triple threat, and that Roman Reigns is going to beat him fugly. And then he hugs him just like a complete asshole here, just hugging Edge, patting him on the back and saying, I'm so sorry for what Roman is going to do to you tomorrow night at WrestleMania. And just the way that he said it, like, I'm sorry for your loss type of thing, but he was saying that he was sorry for how badly Roman Reigns is going to beat him and Bryan up at WrestleMania. Heyman is such a fucking slimeball. I thought he was great here. And then Edge kind of had his own retort, had his own, response, saying that, what he had to go through. He didn't mention the year, but obviously it was 2006 WrestleMania 22. I just watched the Untold on it. It was great. He recalls the finish to Mick Foley and Edge from Mania 22, when Edge beat Foley in that hardcore match by spearing him through a table, a burning, flaming table, at ringside, and he pinned Foley while his arm was bubbling and burning and second-degree burns and all this other shit. He still pinned Foley to win the match. If he was willing to do that, imagine what he's going to do tomorrow night to beat Roman and Bryan to bring back that championship to his collection. And he vows to take back what's his. So I thought that was a great way to close it out. These guys have amazing chemistry. It dragged on for a little bit longer than I thought it would, but it was still masterful, and both these guys are just amazing. I would go on the record in saying Edge is probably one of, if not the best promo guy in the entire WWE right now. Raw, SmackDown. The guy's just on another fucking level, and then Heyman is just amazing too. When Heyman has material that motivates him, the guy is untouchable. And he's clearly had that alongside Roman Reigns for the last 8 months now. So this was a very special edition of Talking Smack, and that there weren't 3 different people on doing the usual bullshit they do. And this show is usually very good, but sometimes you'll get like the Riot Squad on, or fucking some clown talking about whatever. No, this was just straight up serious storytelling, and I thought they did an amazing job with it. So before Mania tonight or tomorrow, whatever, check this out. Talking Smack, April 10th, 2021 on the network if you're outside of the U.S., or Peacock if you are here inside the U.S. It's well worth the watch. It's well worth the 27 minutes. This was fantastic stuff. So be sure to check that out. Thank you guys, as always, for checking on these videos. I appreciate it. Be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more daily content. Hit the bell button as well to be notified every time a new video goes up. And check out all the other interviews that have gone up here on the channel in the last couple days alone, between Tommy Bechtold on Tuesday from New Rockstars. We got Impact's Rohit Raju, the former X Division champion, on Wednesday. Thursday, NXT star Kyle O'Reilly before TakeOver Night 2 that night. Yesterday, we had Seth fucking Rollins on the show, which was awesome. And then other interviews set to be released in the days and weeks to come. So no better time than right now to subscribe. Mania tonight's going to be great. Looking forward to it. Hopefully you guys enjoy it as well. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.